The piercing wail of a hungry baby cut through the bustling noise of downtown Seattle like a knife through silence, stopping strangers in their tracks and tugging at heartstrings with its raw desperation. In that moment, beneath the grey October sky, a simple act of kindness would forever change two lives and remind the world that humanity's greatest wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. Marcus Chen had been walking these same streets for 3 years, his chef's whites hidden beneath a worn jacket, heading to his second job at a late-night diner after finishing his shift at a small neighborhood bistro. The single father of 7-year-old Emma knew every crack in the sidewalk, every shortcut that could save him precious minutes between jobs. Time was money, and money meant keeping their tiny apartment and putting food on the table. But today, something made him stop. A woman sat on the steps of the closed bank building, her designer suit wrinkled and stained, her usually perfect auburn hair falling in disheveled strands around her face. In her arms, a baby no more than 6 months old cried with the kind of desperation that only comes from true hunger. The woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a boardroom just hours earlier was frantically digging through an expensive leather purse, her hands shaking as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Please, sweetheart, please," she whispered to the baby, her voice breaking. Mummy doesn't know what to do. Most people walked by, some glancing with curiosity, others averting their eyes from the uncomfortable scene. But Marcus saw something that stopped him colder, the same helpless panic he'd felt 3 years ago when Emma had fallen ill and he'd been alone, scared, and desperate for someone, anyone, to help. Without hesitation, he approached. "Excuse me, Mom. Is everything okay?" The woman looked up, her face flushed with embarrassment. Her eyes were the kind of blue that spoke of privilege and power, but right now they were filled with nothing but fear and exhaustion. "I'm sorry, I know I must look crazy. It's just she's so hungry, and I don't have any formula, and everything's closed, and I don't know what to do." The words tumbled out between sobs. Marcus knelt down beside them, his voice gentle. "When did she last eat?" "This morning." "Maybe earlier." "I don't. My nanny usually handles feeding times, and there was an emergency board meeting, and then my flight was delayed, and..." She trailed off, looking lost. Marcus glanced at his watch. He was already running late for his second job, but the baby's cries had softened slightly at the sound of his calm voice. "My daughter Emma is 7 now, but I remember those early days. May I?" The woman hesitated for just a moment before nodding, carefully transferring the baby into Marcus's experienced arms. Immediately, the child seemed to sense his confidence, her cries reducing to small whimpers. "What's her name?" Marcus asked, gently bouncing the baby with practiced ease. "Sophia," the woman whispered. "I'm Victoria. Nice to meet you both." "I'm Marcus." He looked around, thinking quickly. The grocery stores were closed, the pharmacies too far away, but Marcus had learned to be resourceful. "Victoria, I know this might sound strange, but I have an idea. There's a 24-hour diner about 2 blocks from here where I work. They'll have milk, and I can make something that will help tide Sophia over until we can get her proper formula." Victoria's eyes widened. "You would do that? For strangers?" Marcus thought of Emma, of all the times when he'd needed help and how rarely it had come. Everyone needs help sometimes. That's what makes us human. The walk to the diner was surreal. Victoria, who Marcus would later learn was Victoria Sterling, CEO of Sterling Industries, one of the largest tech companies on the West Coast, walked beside a struggling single-parent chef, carrying nothing but her purse and a diaper bag, looking more lost than she'd ever felt in a boardroom full of hostile executives. At the diner, Marcus's co-workers watched in amazement as he gently explained the situation to his manager, Rosa, who immediately cleared a section of the kitchen. With Sophia still in his arms, Marcus began working magic with simple ingredients. "This is something my grandmother taught me," he explained to Victoria, who watched intently as he warmed whole milk to body temperature, testing it carefully on his wrist. He added a tiny pinch of sugar and just a drop of vanilla. "It's not formula, but it's safe and nutritious for babies, and it'll help with their hunger pangs until morning when the stores open." As Marcus carefully fed Sophia with a makeshift bottle Rosa had sterilized, Victoria found herself crying again, but these were different tears. "I've never seen anyone move with such confidence around a baby," she whispered. "I've been a mother for 6 months, and I still feel like I'm failing her every day." Marcus looked up from Sophia, who was now drinking contentedly. "Being a parent is the hardest job in the world, and nobody gives you a manual. The fact that you're worried about failing means you're already succeeding more than you know." Something in his voice made Victoria really look at him for the first time. She saw the exhaustion around his kind eyes, the way his hands moved with the efficiency of someone who'd learned to do everything quickly, the small burn scars that marked him as someone who'd worked hard for everything he had. "You're not just a chef, are you?" she asked quietly. "You're a father who understands." Marcus nodded, his smile tired but genuine. "Single dad. My daughter Emma lost her mom when she was 4. I learned everything the hard way, including how to make emergency baby food at 2 a.m. when nothing else is open." As Sophia finished eating and finally settled into peaceful sleep in Marcus's arms, Victoria felt something shift inside her chest. This man had given up his evening, potentially his second job, and asked for nothing in return. He'd taken one look at a desperate mother and child and had simply helped. "Marcus," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something. My name is Victoria Sterling. I run Sterling Industries." Marcus raised an eyebrow but didn't seem particularly impressed. "That's nice. Emma loves video games, sir. I think you guys make some of those, right?" His casual response made Victoria laugh for the first time in weeks. Here was someone who knew who she was and simply didn't care about her money or power. He'd helped her because she was a mother who needed help, nothing more, nothing less. "I want to do something for you," Victoria said. "Please, let me." "You don't need to do anything," Marcus interrupted gently. "This is what people do for each other." But Victoria was already thinking, already planning. She built her empire by recognizing talent and potential, and she saw both in Marcus. More than that, she saw a kindness that her world of corporate boardrooms and profit margins had almost made her forget existed. 3 months later, Marcus was no longer working 2 jobs. Victoria had offered him something unprecedented, the position of head chef at Sterling Industries' new employee wellness center, complete with benefits, a salary that let him spend evenings with Emma, and a chance to teach cooking classes to other single parents in the community. But more than that, Victoria and Sophia had become part of Marcus and Emma's extended family. Sunday dinners at Marcus's small apartment became a tradition, where a billionaire CEO learned to make simple meals while her daughter played with Emma, and Marcus learned that wealth meant nothing compared to the richness of genuine human connection. The recipe Marcus had shared that night of the simple mixture of milk, sugar, and vanilla became known in their little circle as love in a bottle. But the real recipe, the one that had changed everything, was much simpler: kindness, offered freely, without expectation of return. In a world that often seemed divided by difference, Marcus Chen had reminded Victoria Sterling of a fundamental truth that at our core, we're all just human beings trying to take care of the people we love, and sometimes, that's more than enough to change everything.